reading. Also, not just reading, but the same reading as the last movie, which is a pretty good indicator of how much this movie wants you to remember that movie while watching this movie. Sequels, am I right? Also, I wouldn't be me if I didn't go back and check that they were, in fact, making me reread the same text, and while doing so, I spotted that in 1986, they used insure, and in Maverick, they changed it to ensure. Upon further research, insure isn't necessarily wrong, but ensure certainly fits the context better, so I understand the change. But guess what I had to do to figure that out? More f***ing reading! After zero research, I can confirm they do not call the school Top Gun Maverick. Now that's what we came here for. Don't be shy. Show me those ailerons, baby. Woo! Look at those vertical stabilizers. They just go on for days. That's what I love about these Top Gun planes, man. I get older, they stay the same age. We'd be in the danger zone if we played the song, but it feels like someone thought waiting 30 years for a sequel would make recycling the original's Kenny Logginsing to a backdrop of plane porn okay. It does not. In case you confused it with Mojave Desert, Minnesota. Maverick decides to dominate this chair with a discount Riker maneuver instead of sitting down like a normal human being. Then the director said, why don't you use this wrench at an uncomfortable angle instead of getting a stepladder? It'll make you look more like Tom Cruise. I feel like this photography of evidence wants to remind me of something important from the first movie, but it just seems to be ducking out of my grasp. I'm sorry, but this mustache seems to scream nothing else other than, look who my dad was, get it? He had a mustache too. Putting information regarding your confidential experimental mission on a calendar like it's someone's birthday. Also, underwear schedules. Thank goodness Maverick awkwardly stores his sunglasses on his test pilot plaque so we get to see what his job is. Because, ooh boy, when we get to the next scene and he's testing planes and I would totally have been like, whoa, what the is Pete Maverick Mitchell from that Top Gun movie doing testing planes and That is totally out of character. Also, thank double goodness that Maverick is wearing that same jacket and riding the same bike because, look, what I'm saying here is that this opening 5 minutes acts like Top Gun is some obscure indie movie from 30 years ago and not the highest grossing film of 1986. The funny thing about guard shacks on military bases is that they frown on you driving through them at full speed, but clearly he doesn't have to stop because he's Tom Cruise.
Well, that's not good enough.
Says who? Admiral Kane.
Who the is this guy? And why did the writers think Hondo couldn't finish this conversation without the help of discount Jack Quaid?
He wants our budget for his unmanned program.
He's on his way to kill the test and shut us down personally.
I know villains are gonna villain, but does Admiral Kane really need to be there in person? Like, is seeing the expressions on their faces so important that this couldn't have been done by email or f***ing Zoom?
Now remember, the contract threshold was Mach 10. Not 10.1, not 10.2, Mach 10. That should keep the program alive.
Will it, though? Listen, this asshole has already arbitrarily moved up your Mach 10 deadline by 2 months, so why do Hondo and Maverick think jumping through this hoop will make a damn bit of difference? Sure, it ends up working, but that's only because they're in a movie that needs to force Maverick into a teaching position he doesn't want.
You know what happens to you if you go through with this.
I know what happens to everyone else if I don't.
Look, buddy, you're not saving the last f***ing blockbuster here. If you don't go through with this, I think it's fair to assume that this highly qualified flight crew working on experimental technologies would be reassigned to a different program also working on experimental technologies. But the movie is acting like their fate could be anything from scrubbing toilets to summary execution. Also, I'm pretty sure that by even going through with this, he's guaranteeing that Hondo and anyone else in a position of authority to stop him is also going to be fired for being complicit. These innovative helmet lights look very state-of-the-art, and definitely wouldn't in any way impair the pilot's vision. Sorry, that was very much a joke. They're dumb and only there so we can behold the face of Thomas the plane engine. Cool shot, but why is this security shack at the end of an active runway in the first place? And why are people allowed to get this close before any questions are asked? It's almost like Admiral Kane getting sandblasted was way more of a concern to the Navy than the actual security of this base. The angle of these windows would suggest there's no way Maverick can look backward out of this plane. So I guess cutting to this shot to make it seem like they're looking at each other was just a fun way to cosplay the artificial tension between these two characters.
Just in time, sir.
I'm early. So are you.
But not early enough to guarantee what he came here to do, since he decided to announce his arrival ahead of time. If Kane arrives totally out of the blue, none of this happens, and he gets exactly what he wants.
This is where we've had trouble with comms, sir. It's the Earth's curvature. It's called Earth bulge.
Look, if Earth bulge didn't fly as an excuse for my unfortunate boner during my college field trip, I don't see why it should fly here either. I may have slept through high school physics, but breaking speed records in my Toyota Corolla taught me that turning tends to generate friction, and friction tends to slow things down everywhere except the bedroom. So until Neil deGrasse Tyson tells me otherwise, I refuse to believe that doing a big-ass semicircle will help you break the 10th sound barrier.
Talk to me, Goose.
Despite being a main character, Anthony Edwards doesn't have top billing in this movie.
Put that in your Pentagon budget!
This line seems to be the only reason this character exists. Sorry, Pete. Love your work on Strange Angel. See, I Google shit. You see, these shots are very cool for the movie, but in terms of providing valuable information to the crew, wait, where the is this camera supposed to be? Movie thinks this thing has side view mirrors.
Oh,
Maverick ejects from a plane flying at Mach 10.4, 10.4, and for the non-military among us, that's almost 8,000 miles an hour. He did not survive this. The rest of this movie is literally this universe's Tom Cruise impersonating Maverick for the rest of the film, and I will not accept any Twitter thread stating otherwise at this time.
Distinguished. Distinguished. Distinguished.
Distinguished.
One day, sooner than later, they won't need pilots at all.
Totally agree. Like the rest of us, pilots will be put to work mining for precious metals to sustain our AI overlords when the inevitable singularity occurs. Now, while Ed Harris may actually be pushing for a future with fewer human casualties, I'm more inclined to believe he's rooting for the former, and this is just a backdoor prequel to Westworld.
All you did was buy some time for those men out there.
Yeah, but time we now have to spend rebuilding that goddamn jet you just decorated the Mojave Desert with, asshole.
North Island, sir?
Call came in with impeccable timing.
Impeccable and cinnable.
For reasons known only to the Almighty and your guardian angel.
And the writers. Don't forget the writers.
You've been called back to Top Gun.
That was said with such vigor, I feel like it makes up for missing the Maverick attachment, so do a barrel roll. Roll credits. Also, we've got your standard only man for the job cliche, but this one feels especially egregious when said man just blew up a top-secret, multi-million-dollar supersonic stealth jet. I don't care how much he's needed for this other thing, his ass should be fired, and probably in prison. How the f*** is he always driving on the taxiways? Also, helmets might not be cool, but they sure beat resurfacing this runway in Pete Maverick Mitchell Mauve.
Serving a limited number of fifth-generation fighters.
Ah, yes, the fifth-generation fighter, which your intelligence apparatus has a high-resolution digital rendering of, but for reasons due to the film distribution, they were unable to figure out its name.
Even a few old F-14s.
I always assumed F-14s were American-made, but if that's the case, why are these ones called Chekhov?
We recalled 12 Top Gun graduates from their squadrons.
And we inexplicably displayed them in black and white because the PowerPoint guys don't get all that much opportunity to be creative around here. This sin is on behalf of the poor bastard that was super excited to be cast in Top Gun only to have their picture blocked by Tom Cruise in this scene.
Bradley Bradshaw, a.k.a. Rooster. I understand he used to fly with his old man.
Everyone in this room is ultimately okay with a direct conflict of interest because the mission is really about Tom Cruise dealing with his demons.
What was his call sign?
Goose, sir.
Tragic, what happened?
So tragic that you couldn't remember his name, or worse still, did remember it, but felt the need to be an absolute dickhead about it and senselessly force Maverick to say it, and either option hardly feels very becoming of an admiral. Hey, remember that bar from the first movie? Unfortunately, that bar wasn't available, so they had to come up with a new bar for Maverick to enter, because they know how much we loved seeing him enter the bar in the last movie. I'm sorry, new bar, but he just doesn't seem to be that into you. Yes, actually, because his options are still the same. Retire or teach at Top Gun. But perhaps having that option presented to him by an old friend that he respects instead of an admiral who clearly dislikes him might have made that decision easier.
Let's not start this time.
They're going to start this time.
Well, man's a stealth pilot.
Literally.
Weapon systems officer, actually.
My God, movie, yes. We know we f***ed that up in the first video. YouTube made us very well aware that Goose wasn't a pilot. Get off our back.
I'll have 4 more on the old-timer.
And hilarity will ensue when Hangman turns up to Top Gun Maverick and realizes the old-timer is his new mission instructor. And honestly, thank goodness. I don't know that this film is even recognizable as a Top Gun sequel without this specific nod to the original. But how do they differentiate the throw him overboard bell from the he's buying everyone a drink bell? Also, these precocious rapscallions are going to literally toss Professor Mitchell out on his ass, and it's funny because of how obvious it is that they're all going to be taking his class this semester. Let the hilarious hijinks commence! Wait, what movie is this again?
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire!
What the f***? Was Jerry Lee Lewis required listening at the Academy or some shit? Or do all these kids know this song for the sole purpose of making Tom Cruise sad? Also, this movie made so much freaking money that I'm worried the studios are going to take this as a sign that flashback exposition is not just okay, but also desirable. And it's not okay. This is not what the audiences are clamoring for. We want the intelligent use of practical effects when possible and attention to detail when it comes to the use of CGI. That's the lesson. Previously on Top Gun. I love that Hondo is here at Top Gun Maverick, but the movie doesn't explain at all why Hondo's here at Top Gun Maverick. It seemed like he had a sweet job working with that warp-capable space plane, but now he's here teaching younglings. What happened to...
That should keep the program alive.
The best of the best.
There's an alternate universe where we send directors for making their characters eat toothpicks instead of apples to indicate assholery. Fortunately, in this universe, we're fine with sending both.
The enemy's new fifth-generation fighter has leveled the playing field.
I know the movie is trying to make sure that we're not rushing to any conclusions about who the bad guys are, but this movie says fifth-generation fighter so many fifthing times it just ends up reminding me of exactly what I'm not supposed to be fifthing thinking about.
Nothing on the radar up ahead. He must be somewhere behind us.
Yes, because planes work only along one axis at a time, and this Top Gun graduate knows that. And if you didn't get that, it's because my sarcasm either came at you from below or went over your head.
That's why we call him Hangman. He'll always hang you out to dry.
There are flawed characters, and then there are characters that sound like they're going to get everyone killed, and this franchise is convinced the Navy prefers the latter. Maverick quite obviously starts breaking left in this shot. No, his left, my right. No, wait, his right, my left. Gah! Whatever direction it is, it's the opposite of the one he's going in the next shot.
And that Cobra maneuver of yours, that could have got all three of you killed.
Since Hangman was nowhere near them during the Cobra maneuver, I'm not sure who would be the third person to die in this scenario. And I'm also not sure why Hurricane Draper brought up that maneuver as opposed to this callback to the first film that really could have killed them all.
Every morning from this day forward, you will brief us on your instructional plans in writing.
Given Maverick's colorful record, does Simpson really think there's a goose's chance at a flat spin of Maverick abiding by that rule?
They were designed to protect the skies above, not the canyon below.
That's because the enemy knows no one is insane enough to try and fly below them.
But why not put some Sam's down there too? You know, just on the off chance your enemy is Tom Cruise, does all his own stunts and everyone else's, even if he isn't in the movie levels of insane.
We are 2 seconds behind.
Why is Bob poking his head around like he needs to make eye contact with the audience instead of staying seated with his belt fastened tightly across his lap?
Then it's a dogfight.
Against fifth-generation fighters.
It's not the plane, sir. It's the pilot.
Yeah, but if that pilot is flying a biplane, then they're getting shot down regardless of skill, aren't they?
We're going into combat, son, on a level no living pilot's ever seen. Not even him.
I know Hangman is being a hyperbolic dickhead here, but it is very bold of him to assume Maverick hasn't played Elden Ring.
I can't be the only one that knows that Maverick flew with his old man.
That's enough.
Or that Maverick was flying when his old man...
I really don't see why the movie thought it needed this detective Hangman figures out Maverick and Rooster's past C-plot. What is Hangman getting out of being a dick here? Is he really going to feel like the bigger man for getting Rooster kicked off the mission? Also, how is this even a secret? All these motherfuckers attended Top Gun, so how is a pilot dying in the 80s not the most common legend in circulation? Especially when there's a fucking photo in the lobby of one of the legends.
You're all dismissed.
Never mind that I barely started this briefing on the extremely dangerous and complex mission that we have precious few days to prepare for. Go get some rest or play football or some shit so that I don't have to deal with any actual conflict resolution. My God, this photo again? This photo is to Top Gun Maverick what Luke's fucking lightsaber is to Star Wars The Force Awakens. Even with all the cool plane stuff going on, this scene with Maverick and Iceman is the best part of the movie. It gives life to these characters and connects us back to the original in a very moving way. So I gotta take a sin off for these two veterans of the screen.
And if I don't send him, he'll never forgive me.
Yeah, Rooster will be pissed off either way, but you could totally find a legitimate reason for not sending him. Only 6 out of the 12 pilots go on the mission, and the fact that it's being taught by Maverick probably should have been enough to exclude Rooster from being selected in the first damn place. This touch football scene is a perfect callback to the first movie and even makes sense in a wider narrative. But we just had to sin removal, so I guess I'll have to sin that the good people at Top Gun are still wearing fucking jeans while playing beach sports. 30 years of Sandy Bullock's chafing against muscular thuds, and no one is learning any lessons. Nobody's breath is being taken away in this scene. We waited 36 years to find out what going ballistic with Penny Benjamin actually meant, and after seeing it, I'm pretty sure Mrs. Goose wasn't using that word correctly.
And you and Amelia, you seem...
Scene has no chance against this 5th-generation scoop.
I pulled his papers from the Naval Academy. He took years off his career.
So when you're the most hated man in the Navy, you can just decide to not let other people in the Navy? I don't know if that checks out, but it's pretty f***ed up either way.
I thought you were staying at Karen's tonight.
Movie has time for this Maverick and Penny get caught as if they're naughty teenagers, so Maverick has to escape out of the window nonsense.
The first pair will breach the reactor by dropping the laser-guided bomb on an exposed ventilation hatch. This will create an opening for the second pair. That's miracle number 1.
But wouldn't the chances of achieving said miracle be increased by sending more planes? From the start, Mav has said this mission needs 4 planes consisting of 2 teams of 2. But what's the harm in sending 3 teams of 2 for redundancy? Hell, send in all 12 pilots and triple your chances of a direct hit. Okay, they may be trying to limit the potential loss of life, and don't check my mouth on this one, but I feel like an illegal uranium enrichment facility will put significantly more lives on the line.
A steep climb at that speed, you're pulling at least 8 Gs.
9. Minimum.
Yeah, but 9 Gs is also covered by at least 8 Gs, which is exactly what he said. God, nitpickers, am I right? Also, do you know who doesn't have to worry about excessive G-forces ripping the skin from their skulls? Drones!
Sir, is this even achievable?
The answer to that question
will come down to the pilot in the box.
Look, Teach, at this stage, we're all fully aware that it takes spunk, gumption, and a plethora of other shit that can't be taught to be a great pilot. But on this occasion, I think Phoenix's query is more related to whether the fundamentals of goddamn physics and aerodynamics themselves are being violated with this stunt, not how big her pilot balls need to be.
That was close.
Too close.
No, I think that was exactly as close as one would expect based on all of Maverick's briefings to date. What's the point in practicing if you don't get close to simulating the deadly shit that could actually go wrong while on the real mission?
Bird strike! Bird strike!
Did we really need the spontaneous bird attack drama directly after the coyote nearly crashing into a mountain drama? The coyote thing totally makes sense and was tense as and while sudden birds are a real issue, it happening now feels a little runtime patty, especially when it adds nothing to the plot, and everyone other than an F-18 ends up totally fine.
You think up there you're dead. Believe me.
My dad believed in you.
Kids.
Take some time. Whatever you need.
I appreciate that, sir, but there's no time. The mission.
No, I'll be taking over the training from here.
If he's taking over, what was the take some time bullshit about? The whole point of the Top Gun assignment was that it would be his last, so if he's not doing this, what the hell is he coming back to?
Time to target is now 4 minutes.
Simpson will now essentially change everything about the mission to make it more achievable, but goddamn, I find it hard to believe that he doesn't see how dumb that is. Does he go to his kids and say, hey, is that 10,000-piece jigsaw puzzle too hard? Then just take a picture of the box and claim success. Except his kids are much less likely to get shot down in a ball of fire by surface-to-air missiles for cheating on their jigsaw puzzle.
Who the hell is that?
It's Amelia Earhart. She slipped into the gravity well of a black hole and was thrown forward in time to this exact moment. Oh, of course, it's fucking Maverick. Who else did he think it was going to be? Also, how are these F-18s so easy for grounded pilots to steal?
File attack point. Maverick's inbound.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a sin off for how disgustingly committed Tom Cruise is to these parts.
Bullseye! Holy sh!
Hoorah! Go Maverick! And other celebratory proclamations. But why didn't he do this 2 fucking weeks ago? Evidently half the battle was convincing everyone that the run can be done the way he's planned it. So why didn't he just ace it to begin with and give them all at least the notion that it's within their grasp? Mach 10? 10 Gs? 10 Commandments? Excitement? What's it all mean?
Once your F-18 strike team crosses the border, Tomahawk missiles from the USS Leyte Gulf will launch a synchronized strike on the enemy's airfield here.
Plan is to blow up the fucking airfield? Does Maverick know this? When he first briefs everyone about the mission, he says,
time to target, 2.5 minutes. That's because 5th-generation fighters wait at an airbase nearby.
But if the plan is to blow them up before the mission even begins, why are they even a factor? Okay, they still have to contend with any planes that are in the air, but there's no way of knowing where they're going to be until the mission starts, right? Look, this mission either just became a whole lot easier or fucking impossible, and I'm not sure the movie knows which one it is.
The moment those Tomahawks hit, the enemy will know you're coming. Your time to target will be 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
If Tomahawks are the thing that alerts the enemy and triggers the 2.5-minute countdown, why not send them later? Or maybe don't send the fucking Tomahawks at all. If Mav and team are flying below the radar, how would the enemy even know they're coming? No one's mentioned a fucking tripwire set up at the entrance of the canyon. Wheel clamping, blue room, multiple takeoffs. Suspense?
Daggers, assume attack formation.
Star Wars, a new Maverick.
Guys, we're falling behind. We really gotta move.
Rooster is hesitant here and falls behind, which makes sense based on what we know about him so far and his tendency to play it safe. What doesn't make sense is that he suddenly decides to believe in Maverick based solely on the pity trust that landed him in a seat on this mission. He could still get you killed, Rooster.
Talk to me, Dad. Come on, kid, you can do it.
The emotion of this moment is undeniable, but the idea that 2 admirals allowed Maverick to put Rooster in this situation without knowing that he had his shit together is all of the absurd. And this ultimately has me thinking that despite the movie's continued attempts to make him seem unreliable, Hangman was still better suited to this mission.
Rooster, there's something wrong with this laser! There's no time, I'm dropping blind.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? Even with the laser tagging the target, this was supposed to be a miracle. So what does Rooster nailing it blind make it? A fucking act of God?
Dagger 1 is hit! I repeat!
Dagger 1 is hit! Maverick is down!
Movie expects us to believe it has the guts to kill the title character when there are 25 minutes of Mavericking still on the table for all of the some time. Hey, Rooster to the rescue, but does anyone follow goddamn orders in this movie?
Yeah, I'm good. You alright?
This whole bit is hilarious, but considering the tone of the movie leading up to this, the sudden behind the enemies, whose line is it anyway comedy routine feels a bit out of left field, and I'm not sure who's on first.
What the hell were you even thinking? You told me not to think.
Rooster would be Top Gun at CinemaSins.
You're not serious.
Joseph Kosinski's response to reading the writer's outline for this escape plan somehow makes it into the script.
You've got to be shitting me.
Is what we all said when we saw this F-14 and realized the whole movie had been leading up to Rooster riding backseat with Maverick. The whole contrived mess of an impossible mission was designed to fail, because if it succeeded, we wouldn't get this moment. Don't get me wrong, I love this moment for what it is, but I also now hate it because of how we got here. And we all know that a tie goes to the center.
We don't even know if that bag of ass can fly.
Joseph Kosinski's response to someone telling him Tom Cruise would do all his own stunts also makes it into the script. Man, the script really wrote itself, didn't it? Yes! I mean, of course, this obscure runway in the middle of remote as nowhere has an old jet that Maverick knows how to fly and is basically fueled up and ready to go with the keys in the ignition and bullets in the barrel. At this point, why not just get the USS Enterprise to beam them up and take them home? Also, this runway that has just been destroyed by surprise tomahawks should be on the highest alert, so I can't believe they're leaving an entire hangar unattended.
Well, here they come. What's your plan?
Put your mask on.
If covering the lower half of your face is going to make the difference here, then your obnoxiously decorated helmets will surely give you away regardless.
Then it's a dogfight.
In an F-14 against 5th-gen fighters?
It's not the plane, it's the pilot.
I hate to belabor a point, except I don't. So it's also absolutely the fucking plane. I very much doubt you'd be saying that if you were up there in a damn Boeing 737-200. Side note, if you are at all a nervous flyer, please do not Google the Boeing 737-200 and just be grateful the 60s were a long time ago.
Come on, Mav. Don't think. Just do.
And behold, the student became the master, completing the circle of life and dooming them both to an existence of well-meaning but confused platitudes, misguided cliches, and discount Yoding. Also, instead of taking a few seconds to tell Rooster what his immediate plan is, Maverick just lurches into action and nearly snaps Rooster's neck. Not everything has to be at your tempo, Mav.
Holy shit. What the f*** was that?
That was fucking badass, is what it was. But how do they not recognize that maneuver? Even if their F-18s aren't capable of it, is it really beyond imagination? Also, said maneuver leaves this chap pretty exposed, so instead of nursing a semi, why doesn't Maverick fire at them?
We gotta get low! The terrain will confuse his targeting system!
Based on what? You were flummoxed by this maneuver a few seconds ago, and now you're a f***ing expert on 5th-generation targeting systems? Goddamn movie's got me saying it now! 5 extra 5th-generational sins! I know this is perfectly within character, but it's still fucking dumb that Maverick thinks it's fine to buzz the fucking aircraft carrier after just surviving what he and Rooster have been through.
Please don't tell me we lost an engine.
All right, I won't tell you that.
Hey, Bill, remember in the first film when Cougar got all shaken up and then had that sketchy carrier landing? Yeah, it was a super powerful moment. Exactly, so I was thinking, would we do something goofy instead and rip off the end of Hot Shots? Damn it, Bill, you're a genius! Movie has these two shake hands in an almost exact shot-for-shot remake of Iceman and Maverick from the first film, because this is the Matrix and the machines have Rooster trapped in a modal.
Chalked yourself another kill.
That makes 2.
Mav has 5.
Not sure why the writers needed to bring in Phoenix to wave Mav's around as if he isn't willing and capable of doing it himself. And of course, all is well and everything is forgiven, because as long as the most recent thing you did is a success, who gives a shit about the experimental jet you totaled, the F-18 that you stole and is no longer airworthy, or anything else you did wrong?
Thank you for saving my life.
That's what my dad would have done.
That would have been difficult, with him being a Rio and not an actual pilot. Is this the only bolt on this plane that needs tightening? Movie does not contain a Merlin or a Berlin.
You do an end run around me again, I'll snap you back so hard you'll think you're a first-year cadet again.
We twitch in our sleep. Twitch when we hear this sound. And twitch on, Twitch.
I can sharpen my claws.
Catch the live taping of our podcast, the staff playing whatever game they want, and more. Check out clips and highlights in between the times we are live. CinemaSins Live on twitch.tv/CinemaSins Live.
Go for takeoff. Starting with engine.
Engine, go.
Thermals, go.
Fuel, go. Electric, go.
All right, sweetheart. One last ride.
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it.
Danger zone.
Where am I?
This is SETI Alpha 5.
Your kind is headed for extinction.
In the meantime, and as usual,
Go f yourself.
These Sams, they're lethal.
Coyote, you copy?
Quiet coyote. Shh, quiet coyote.
One that their family will accept at the funeral.
Don't tell me.
Tell it to his family.
You don't turn your back on family.
A real man would not chop the pootie from a single mother.
Rooster, He's gone. Maverick's gone.
You want me to let my client of 15 years, one of my best friends, die in the jungle alone for some money and a G5?
What's that signal? What's he saying?
Yeah, no idea. I have no idea what he's saying.
Don't wait for the translation! Answer me now!
I'm sorry, Chris.
I have you now.
Okay, Topper. Call the ball.
Touching down.
Please don't tell me we lost an engine.
Danger zone.